everyone, welcome back to She Births Podcast. I am your host, Brooke Wright, and today's guest we have Dr. Debi. Hi, Dr. Debi.
Hi, looking forward to our conversation.
Me too. Thank you so much for being a guest today. So, I wanted to talk a little bit about post betrayal syndrome. Can you tell my listeners a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. Well, first of all, no one studies something like betrayal unless you have to. So after two soul-crushing, heartbreaking betrayals from my family and then my husband, it launched me into this PhD program. Really, I was just trying to heal. And I did a study on betrayal, really just to get myself out of this mess. And that study made 3 groundbreaking discoveries, which changed everything I know about betrayal and which changed my health, my family, my work, my life. So to answer your question, post-betrayal syndrome was the second of the 3 discoveries. And what we found was there's a collection of symptoms, physical, mental, and emotional, so common to betrayal. It's now known as post-betrayal syndrome. Well, we've had over 95,000 plus people take our post-betrayal syndrome quiz on our site to see to what extent they're struggling. And a few things about that. The first thing is we've all been taught time heals all wounds. I have the proof that when it comes to betrayal, that's not true. Time won't heal it. A new relationship won't heal it. Healing heals it, deliberate and intentional healing. But anyway, every few months I pull the stats from the quiz to see where people are. I'm happy to share it if that would serve.
Oh, yeah, sure. I'm going to bring it up on your website.
Okay. So, yeah. And when you see the quizzes at the top, if you go to the other, there you go. The post-betrayal syndrome quiz. So now imagine 95,000 plus people have taken it. Just about every country is represented. Listen to these numbers. Out of all of that, all of them, 78% constantly revisit their experience. 81% feel a loss of personal power. 80% are hypervigilant. 94% deal with painful triggers. The most common physical symptoms, 71% have low energy. 68% have sleep issues. 63% have extreme fatigue. So you go to sleep, you wake up, you're exhausted, your adrenals have tanked. 47% have weight changes. So in the beginning, you can't hold food down. Later on, you're using food for comfort. You're emotionally eating. 45. Right. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You will hear these numbers. You're going to be, everybody's going to be shaking their head like, that's me. 45% have a digestive issue. And that could be anything, Crohn's, IBS, diverticulitis, constipation, diarrhea, you name it. The most common mental symptoms, 78% are overwhelmed. 70% are walking around in a state of disbelief. 64% are in shock. 62% can't concentrate. So imagine you can't concentrate, you're exhausted, you have a gut issue. Now you have to go to work. You still have to raise your kids, whatever it is, right? That's not even emotionally. Emotionally, 88% experience extreme sadness. 83% are angry. And you can go back and forth between sadness and anger all day long. 80% have anxiety. 79% are stressed. Just a few more. This is why I wrote the book Trust Again. 84% have an inability to trust. 67% prevent themselves from forming deep relationships because they're afraid of being hurt again. 82% find it hard to move forward. 90% want to move forward, but they don't know how.
Wow. Everything you listed, well, not everything, but majority of the things you listed.
Yeah. You know what's even crazier about those numbers? They're not even necessarily from a recent betrayal. That could be from your parent who did something awful when you were a kid. That could be from the girlfriend or boyfriend who broke your heart in high school. So think about this. That person may not know, care, remember. They may not even be alive. And here we are, years, decades later, walking around with those symptoms because of something that happened years, maybe even decades ago. I mean, the good news is you can heal from all of it, which was the third discovery, but yeah.
Oh, wow. How can you heal from all of it?
Yeah. So that was the third discovery. And you want me to tell you what the first one was?
Yeah. Well, I want to know all of them because I'm shocked.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. So I had a feeling that betrayal was a different type of trauma. I'd been through death of a loved one. I'd been through disease. And I was like, betrayal feels different. But I didn't want to assume it was the same for all my study participants. So I asked him, if you've been through other traumas besides betrayal, does it feel different for you? Unanimously, they said, oh my gosh, it's so different. And here's why. Because it feels so intentional, we take it so personally. So the whole self gets shattered and has to be rebuilt. Think about it: rejection, abandonment, belonging, confidence, worthiness, trust. They're all trashed and have to be rebuilt. Like, for example, if you lose someone you love, you grieve, you are sad, you mourn the loss, life will never be the same. But you don't question the whole relationship. You don't question your ability to trust. You don't question your sanity. With betrayal, you do. So that type of healing needed its own name, which is now called Post Betrayal Transformation. So that betrayal is a different type of trauma. That was the first discovery.
Oh my God. Everything you just mentioned. How though? How? Is there a way to, will we ever get past this? Like, will it ever go away?
It can, and that's what the third discovery was. So this for me was the most exciting. And what we learned was, while we can stay stuck for years, decades, a lifetime, and so many people do, if we're going to fully heal, and by fully heal, I mean those symptoms of post-betrayal syndrome, and you said you had a lot of them, to that, completely rebuilt place of post-betrayal transformation, if we're going to go from one to the other, we're going to move through 5 proven, predictable stages. And what's even more exciting about that is we know what happens physically, mentally, and emotionally at every one of those stages. And we know what it takes to move from one stage to the next. Healing is entirely predictable. Happy to share the stages if you want to hear them.
Yes. Yeah, definitely. Share with my listeners.
Okay. So they're all mapped out in my book, Trust Again. It's all we do. It's what all of our coaches are certified in the PBT Institute. It's all we do within the PBT Institute. Here's a brief, I'll sum them up. If you can imagine 4 legs of a table, this is stage 1. Stage 1 is before it happens. If you can imagine 4 legs of a table, the 4 legs being physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual, what I saw with everybody, me too, was a real heavy lean on the physical and the mental, thinking and doing, and kind of neglecting or ignoring the emotional and the spiritual, feeling and being. Well, if a table only has 2 legs, it's really easy for that table to topple over, right? That's us. Stage 2, shock, trauma, D-Day, discovery day. This is the scariest of all of the stages. And this is when you get the news. This is like when that person takes off the mask and reveals who they've been. And this is the scariest stage, and it's the breakdown of the body, the mind, and the worldview. So right here, you just got the news that changes your life forever. Your stress response is ignited. You are now headed for every single stress-related symptom, illness, condition, disease. Your mind is in a complete state of chaos and overwhelm. Well, you can't wrap your mind around what you just learned. This makes no sense. And your worldview has just been shattered. Your worldview is your mental model, the rules that govern you, that prevent chaos. Trust this person. Don't go here. These are the rules. And in one earth-shattering moment, every rule you've held to be real and true is no longer. The bottom has truly bottomed out on you, and a new bottom hasn't been formed yet. So this is terrifying. But think about it. If the bottom were to bottom out on you, what would you do? You'd grab hold of anything you could, or anyone you could, to stay safe and stay alive. And that's stage 3. Survival instincts emerge. It's the most practical out of all of the stages. If you can't help me, get out of my way. How do I survive this experience? Where do I go? Who can I trust? How do I feed my kids? It's practical. But this is the thing. Stage 3, hands down, is the most common place we get stuck. Here's why. Once we've figured out how to survive our experience, because it feels so much better than the shock and trauma of where we just came from, we think it's good. And because we don't know there's anywhere else to go, we don't know there's a stage 4 or stage 5, transformation doesn't even begin until stage 4. But because we don't know there's anywhere else to go, we think that's it. So we plant roots here, we park here. We're not supposed to, but we don't know that. And 4 things start to happen. The first thing is we start getting all those small self benefits. We get to be right. We like being right. We have someone to blame. We get sympathy from everyone we tell our story to. And on some level that feels good. So we don't get much else and we're like, okay, so that's good. So we stay here. Again, we're not supposed to, but we don't know that. Because we're here longer than we should, now the mind starts going to work and thinking things like, maybe you're not that great. Maybe you deserved it. Maybe this, maybe that. So we plant deeper roots. Now, because these are the thoughts we're thinking, well, this is the energy we start putting out. Like energy attracts like energy. So now you start attracting people and circumstances and relationships to confirm, yep, this is where you belong. Like that lame support group, you join it now. This is where you will actually be healing, but you will sabotage yourself because you're afraid of outgrowing your betrayer has no, indication that they're changing, right? You're stuck. You're stuck. It gets worse, but I'll get you out of here. Because it feels so bad, but you don't know there's anywhere else to go, right here, you start using food, drugs, alcohol, work, TV, keeping busy, anything to numb, avoid, and distract yourself from this painful place. So think about it. You do it for a day, a week, a month. Now it's a habit, a year, 10 years, 20 years. And I can see someone 20 years out and say, that, drinking you're doing or that emotional eating, do you think that has anything to do with your betrayal? And they would look at me like I'm crazy. And they would say, it happened 20 years ago. All they did was put themselves in stage 3 and stay there. Does that make sense?
Yep, it does, because I'm in stage 3.
Yeah,
there.
Most people are. Most people are. And that's the thing. It gets this, it's this certain level of comfort. It's not good. It's not good, but it's this level of comfort. And because we don't know there's anything better, this is where we stay. You know what it's like? And I'll get you through stage 4 and 5. It's like, imagine two friends, and they're both like 30 pounds overweight. And they're okay. They can put themselves together and look okay, whatever. Well, one day, one friend says, you know what? I'm so tired of this. I'm going to start eating healthy. I want to get this weight off. I'm feeling, I'm just so done. And she starts losing the weight and she feels great. So now she's 30 pounds less. She feels so much better. She has so much more energy. She's stronger. She's all these things, right? So she says to the other friend, she's like, come on, it's so good over here, And the other friend's like, no, this is fine. I got it. And the other friend who lost the weight, she's like, I know what you're feeling here, but now that I'm living over here, I can tell you, you'd never be here for a day if you had any idea what that feels like. That's what stage 4 and 5 feels like. But when we know stage 3 and we're fine, that's when you're stuck. That's why I wrote From Hardened to Healed. Trust Again has all 5 stages in it, but everybody was landing in stage 3. It's like, so From Hardened to Healed is for stage 3 only. Like, you've been through the worst of it already. You owe it to yourself to have that transformation. Like, what are you doing hanging out in stage 3 for? It stinks.
Let me ask you a question. So can family members keep you at stage 3 as well?
It's not that they keep you. It's that we've been brainwashed, or we're convinced that that's where we belong. So we stay there. And here's the thing. It's, if that's where they are, and that's where they will, at this point in their consciousness, they are not willing or capable of being anything other than they've been, then it's on us what we're going to do with that. But we're so afraid. We're so afraid of outgrowing them and their behavior, or setting boundaries, or making changes, that we tolerate it or believe it at our expense. And that was the case with my family. They were completely, no one was changing. So I either spend a lifetime banging my head against a wall trying to convince them, right? Because otherwise I'm trying to prove and convince, and then when you finally realize, wait a second, no, now it's on me. Now it's on me. Because I'm expecting something other than what I've always consistently seen. And I have to tell you, I remember looking at I have a bunch of dogs, and I remember looking at them once, and it just hit me. I'm like, it's interesting. I would never expect them to be anything other than what they are. They're dogs, right? Why in the world am I expecting the people I've only known to be one way to be any different? That's on me. You see?
How do you get them, like, okay, the people that you family, it's supposed to be family though, like it's supposed to be family, and how do you let them go? Like, how do you say, oh, they're family, but they gotta go, like they gotta, I can't talk to them anymore?
It's very hard. You're making some decisions here, and I would never say what's right or wrong for anybody, because, I believe everybody knows best. But like in my situation, when you are compromising your health, when you are sort of, your mind is at the mercy of other people's beliefs about you. And when you're willing to let that hold you back physically, mentally, and emotionally, you're paying a huge price. I remember when I cut the ties, and I remember at the time I was in a program to become a whole health coach. And I remember my mentor at the time saying, when you did that, it was like you traded an anchor for a pair of wings. I healed from so many illnesses just from that. But, listen, I have 4 kids and I had 6 dogs for the longest time. And it was deliberate. And I remember thinking to myself that I want to create a big family because that's what I want. That's what I deserve. That's who I am. It's not, but you can't control where you came from, but you can control what you do with it. That's on you.
I love that answer. I love that response. Because when I was in therapy for this last time for trying to commit suicide, I told them my story, and they said, oh, the main issue seems to be your mom. Like, my mom thinks it's other people. Like, she thinks it's the ex-boyfriend. She thinks it's medical issues. And I'm like, it's you. It's
Well,
you.
and here's the thing. If that's where the betrayal originally happened, where it wasn't the mom you signed up for, you hoped for, you expected, you got, right? Whatever happened. What happens is you move into different relationships, not because it's good, because it's so familiar. So like a repeat betrayal is a classic sign of an unhealed betrayal. The face has changed, but it's the same thing. And you're thinking, what the heck? Why do I keep going from one relationship to another, whether it's friend to family to partner, whatever? Is it me? Yes, it is. Not in that it's your fault, in that it's your opportunity. There is a profound lesson waiting to be learned. You are lovable, worthy, and deserving. You need better boundaries in place, whatever that is. Until and unless you get that, you're going to have opportunities in the form of people to teach you. So in your situation, from the little bit that you shared, you are thinking, well, it's just going to be better with a different person, right? But the big betrayal, that's never healed. So it's almost like you heard me say 45% of everybody betrayed has a gut issue, right? You could go to the best gut doctors on the planet. I'm friends with many of them, and they're only going to take your healing so far. Unless and until you get to the root of that betrayal, your healing is temporary at best. You see? So like in the little bit I know, that the experience with your mom, that's unhealed, right? So no matter what relationship you have with someone else, doing something else, no matter what it is, that's sitting there as a source of something unhealed. So then what happens is you have all kinds of symptoms and experiences and relationships, all the result of that experience. So that's the one. That's and I'm not saying that you're going to have this big moment with your mom and it's going to change or whatever else. No. It's the way you move through it when you move to stage 4 and 5. And I want to share what that is. Until and unless that happens, that's the main issue right there.
I love the way you explained it, because no one's ever been able to explain it for me like the way that you do. You broke it down, and I'm like, how come therapists, when I went to therapy, they didn't break it down like this?
Mhm.
Maybe they did, but maybe I wasn't paying attention like I am now.
Well, you know
Like,
how many that so many people come into the PBT Institute with therapy trauma because, here's the other thing too. Um, if all you're doing is unpacking your story, unpacking and unpacking and unpacking, if anything is like crazy glue to stage 3, it's going over your story over and over and over again without a plan to move you into stage 4. There's definitely a part where you need to unpack your story so that someone knows what they're working with, right? But then what can we do strategically to move you towards stage 4, towards stage 5? I mean, that's why we try to get our certification to therapists, to counselors, to coaches, to everybody, because there's a predictable, proven roadmap to move through all of it. Most people talk about it, talk about it, talk about it. And even if you have an amazing therapist who talks about it with you and even, is there to help you, move forward, that's only the mental and emotional. You still, the issues are in the tissues. You need to get to this in a somatic body-based way. It's the mental, the emotional, the psychological, the spiritual. You need to hit all that to fully heal.
you are correct. You are
Mhm.
correct. Now I'm like seeing it. I'm
Yeah.
seeing it everywhere I've worked. They've been like my mom. Like the girls that I've got into it with have been exactly like my mom, and I'm like,
Yeah.
why?
Yeah. It keeps coming around to show you. It's like, hello, you didn't heal. I'm going
Yeah.
to give you an opportunity. Nope, you didn't get it. I'm going to give you another opportunity. Nope, you didn't get it. Another one until you get the mother of all betrayals. And then you're like, okay, I'm listening. Okay, it's time.
Oh my God. Oh my
Yeah.
God. If me and my mom, we didn't have an argument right before this, but we got into a little stiff before I came on the interview. And I'm just like, she's saying exactly what I needed to hear.
Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how
It's
do you
just
get
right
to
there. So yes,
so
so
how do you
stage
get
4.
to stage 4? Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is awareness, which you have. You cannot unring that bell. You heard it now. And I'll tell you now, staying stuck is a choice. I'm going to tell you stage 4 and stage 5. If you're willing is a huge part of it, to grieve, mourn the loss, let go of the story, everything, all the benefits you get from stage 3, do a bunch of other stuff. You move to stage 4. Stage 4 is finding and adjusting to a new normal. Here's where you acknowledge, I can't undo what happened, but I control what I do with it. Right there in that decision, you start turning down the stress response. You're not healing just yet, but at least you stop the massive damage you've been creating in stages 2 and stage 3. Stage 4 feels like if you've ever moved. If you ever moved to a new house, office, condo, apartment, whatever, all your stuff's not there. It's not quite cozy yet, but you're like, okay, we can do this. We got this. It feels like that. But think about this. If you were to move, you don't take everything with you. You don't take those things that don't represent who you're ready to be in that new stage, right? You leave that stuff behind. And what I found was there's one spot when people move from stage 3 to stage 4, if your friends weren't there for you, you don't take them with you. That lame support group, you outgrew them right there. That betrayer who isn't changing, you don't take them with you right here. You can love and appreciate them for who they are, where they are, but you don't take them with you. Right? You're growing, you're changing. When you've settled into this new space, you've made it cozy, you've made it, mentally home, you move into the 5th most beautiful stage. And this is healing, rebirth, and a new worldview. The body starts to heal, self-love, self-care, eating well, exercise. You didn't have the bandwidth for that earlier. Now you do. The mind is healing. You're making all kinds of new rules, new boundaries based on the road you just traveled. And you have a new worldview based on everything you see so clearly now. And the 4 legs of that table, remember in the beginning, it was all about the physical and the mental. By this point, we're solidly grounded because we're focused on the emotional and the spiritual too. Those are the 5 stages.
Wow, I love this. And it is within your book. I'm about to go look at you. So
Yeah.
it's in your book.
It's all we do. I mean, this is what we do within the PBT Institute. So you're looking at it, you see the
Oh,
one
wow.
so books right
Oh,
there.
sorry.
That's
Which
okay.
one?
So Books, it would be Trust Again. So you start with Trust Again because that has all 5 stages from Hardened to Healed. As if you've been in stage 3 a while, you need that one too. Yeah. But in our Reclaim program, which on the homepage you saw that, that's like, I mean, we move you through. It's a 3-month program, and you're working with our coaches. You're working with our signature program, which literally moves you through the stages. We have master classes. Everything's numbered according to stages. So you, like for you, you would take all the classes for stage 3 and see coaches that are really good at stage 3, moving you to stage 4. And, everything is just designed from the minute you come in, just to move you from one stage to the next, to the next.
Oh, wow. So do you have a payment plan for the
Institute,
the PPT? You do?
Yeah. For our Reclaim program, we have a 2-pay and a 3-pay. So if you go to, you see where it says, have you been betrayed? Yeah. So that would be the one. That's our Reclaim program. It's our most popular program. And then we have a 2-pay or a 3-pay. It's so good. I mean, people just move through it. They come in at stage 2 or 3, and then they move to stage 4 and stage 5. I'll tell you, that's Trust Again. That's just a do-it-yourself $97 program. But if you want to work with our coaches who are all certified in the 5 stages, and they bring in their own areas of expertise, the family dynamic, mindset, self-growth, somatic. We have a body-based somatic coach. It's anything having to do with moving people through. Yeah. So I recommend, our Reclaim program, that's exactly what we do.
I love it. I love it. Is there anything else you want to share with my listeners before I let you go?
I would just say, as I shared, healing is a choice. It's once there are 5 stages. If you're sticking around in stage 3, you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Usually when I share this, a lot of people get angry. They're like, are you joking? I've been in stage 3 for years, right? Yeah. Well, the good news is you could have been there in many, many more years. So now that there's a plan. Listen, I didn't do anything anybody else couldn't do, but there wasn't a roadmap for it. But I can promise you, in stages 4 and 5, that's where we see new, beautiful relationships with the person who are you, or with someone totally new, because you're different. We see new levels of health. We see new businesses, so common to see in stages 4 and 5. Like the PBT Institute, that's a stage 5 thing. It's like we see it all the time because you didn't have access to these ideas when you're just stuck in your stage 3-ness,
Yeah.
Stage 3. So yeah.
I love it. It feels like growth, because I just came home and I missed my doctor's appointment, and I'm missing everything, and I'm having brain fog, and my mom's just building on top of that, and I'm just like, she's really making me mad. And then I come on here with you, and you're just like breaking it all down, and I'm like, I feel better. And I talked to a fitness coach too right before here, and I'm like, maybe that's a sign that I'm healing a little bit, but I'm not quite there,
Yeah. No, you're in stage 3, and you need to just do everything to get to stage 4 and then to get to stage 5. That's it. Don't stay stuck. There's a roadmap. Don't stay stuck.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to try this because being stuck is not good for anybody, and I know.
Yeah. And that's where symptoms, illness, condition, disease all live in stage 3.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Because whenever I was in the hospital, exactly what you said, when I was in the hospital, not diseases, but stress causes cancer. And I was like, does it really? They said stress causes cancer. And I'm like, oh. And and the people that keep you at stage 1 and 2 are the cancer. So
it's one of those things. We see people healing from all of it. And the versions of them in stages 4 and 5, they are so healthy, so strong, so healed, so confident because it's earned.
Yes, definitely. I want to thank you so much, Dr. Debi, for coming on my podcast today and chatting with me.
Thank you.
You have a great day. Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to my interview with Dr. Debi. As she said, you can go on her website and purchase one of her one of the classes. I know for a fact that I am definitely going to do this because, like she said, I'm stuck in stage 3 and I do not like being in stage 3 at all, period. So I'm leaving stage 3 and I'm going to stage 4 and 5, I bet. But anyway, thank you so much for listening to She's Very Podcast. I hope to see you next time for my next interview. Bye.